I would be lying if I said that Oshun didn't teach me anything in 2025. I am Daniela Ayomide. I'm a community cultivator and founder of Abstractly African, a virtual community where culture is a compass, ancestry is a resource, and transformation is a shared practice. Oshun is the Orisha that embodies fresh waters, rivers, streams, sunlight radiance. Oshun is known for very prominent qualities that promote harmony in relationships. For example, Oshun is known for her sweetness. Honey and other sweet fruits are often offered to Oshun. Now, here's something really interesting. As a child of Oshun, it is my duty to protect and advocate for children and families. It is also my duty to advocate and protect harmony in relationships, the relationship that you have with yourself and others. Now, Oshun, being the Orisha that embodies water, there are other Orishas that also embody water. But Oshun, being the Orisha of fresh waters, is also associated with drought. Because Oshun, being the force of nature that brings life, creativity, sensuality, and joy, also has the power to remove that energy. Now, you could be a child of Oshun. I should have known I was a child of Oshun from my young age because my favorite color is yellow, and it has always been. My favorite colors have always been blue and yellow. So, children of Oshun are like radiant light beams. And people love Oshun energy. Oshun will make you feel cared about. She is nurturing, and she'll give you loving advice when you need it. Oshun, being this way, also has the power and the duality to be the exact opposite. Oshun is an Orisha that embodies self-worth. That's because Oshun, with her mirror, her sacred mirror, sees herself. She sees the energy and water and purity and balance that she brings to other people naturally. And when Oshun, historically, as the stories of old go, when Oshun has not been appreciated, when Oshun has not been acknowledged, you don't get any more of her energy. In fact, there's a drought. There are dry conditions like a desert when Oshun removes her energy. Now, some might say, when Oshun decides to remove her energy, isn't that petty? Isn't that like retaliation? The wonderful thing I am learning as a Yoruba, a Nigerian heritage, right? One of the things I'm learning about the Orishas is just how much they mimic and in interplay with our human emotions, right? I use the word interplay, but that's probably not the right word. So I would say that as I am learning about the forces of nature called the Orisha, in the spiritual practice of Ifa from the Yoruba people of Nigeria. The Orishas are a picture of humanity in spiritual form. And whenever there is an imbalance in the cosmic realms, whenever things are out of balance, the forces of nature respond to bring both human nature and, elemental nature back into balance. So in reality, Oshun removing her energy, her love, her sweetness, her sensuality, her care, her nurturing, is often not petty. It's often to restore relational and elemental balance. So the truth is, Oshun has taught me this year in my relationships how to detach. Because you can give of yourself to your community, to your projects, to the people around you. But if you don't have boundaries within yourself to know your own worth, you will give and then resent the people who are receiving. But instead of being in a place of resentment or bitterness, if you have boundaries with giving and you are able to look at things objectively, sometimes the writing is just on the wall when it comes to relationships. And there's no harm in detaching. When you detach from people, systems, or organizations, whether that be friends, employers, or family, when you detach from systems that no longer serve you, oh, how selfish, right? You're not serving me anymore, so I'm going to detach. Yep, that's exactly what you need to do. When you detach from people and systems that do not serve you, you are restoring balance to your life, to the cosmic realm, and to the elemental world around you. Now, some people might say that detachment is not a quality you would associate with Oshun. But I am Omo Oshun. Omo Oshun in Yoruba means child of Oshun. I am child of Oshun. That means I behave like Oshun. So I didn't realize, right, until I came into Abstractly African, into myself, into this practice, I didn't realize just how much I truly embodied the qualities of Oshun as a person. Now, wisdom is what guides detachment. If you are hurting and you haven't vocalized, what's going on, if you are people pleasing and expecting to get an outcome by sacrificing yourself, if generally you haven't taken accountability for how you show up in relationships, then detachment might actually be cutting people off or being petty. But when you're guided by wisdom to detach, there really are no hard feelings. Detachment is about accountability, taking ownership over what you want and desire out of the relationships in your life. I mentioned kind of off to the side that some might see it as selfish. Some might see it as selfish when you decide to detach from things that just don't work for you anymore, right? But I want to offer a different word than selfish. I want to use the words a couple: sustaining, right? So detachment can be sustaining. Detachment can be an act of self-love and compassion. And detachment is also an act of empathy. Oh, Here's where it gets really good. When you hang on to systems, partnerships, relationships, or projects that no longer serve you, sometimes it's because of fear. Sometimes it's because you might not know who you are without those relationships, systems, or people in your life. But you will always benefit when you are able to identify the things that you want and whether or not the people, systems, places, and relationships around you serve those wants and needs. Now, if all this sounds like mumbo jumbo, which I'm sure it doesn't, but if it sounds like it makes sense, then you're tracking with me, because you can only give so much. And the truth is, really, there is no limit. There is no limit to what you can receive, but you can become a filter and decide to increase your life's quality by detaching with no hard feelings, empathy and compassion for yourself, the systems, people, or places, and moving forward. So that was a lot. I know we went through the Orishas. We went through what Oshun has taught me as my Orisha, and then how to apply that wisdom. Oshun, the Orisha over fresh waters, rivers, and streams. Then, what Oshun has taught me, detachment in order to sustain myself and the world around me. And then applying that in a relational context. Detachment begins with wisdom and self-understanding. Thank you for being here with me, Daniela Ayomide, founder and community cultivator of Abstractly African, where culture is a compass, ancestry is a resource, and transformation is a collective practice. Tune in throughout the week to check out what I've got in store to prepare us for 2026. Ashe, ashe, ashe.